What is extenders of grace? Let me answer that question with a couple of verses. John 6:5-13 says, "When Jesus looked up and saw a great crowd coming toward him, he said to Philip, 'Where shall we buy bread for these people to eat?' He asked this only to test him, for he already had in mind what he was going to do. Philip answered him, 'It would take more than half a year's wages to buy enough bread for each one to have a bite.' Another of his disciples, Andrew, Simon Peter's brother, spoke up, 'Here is a boy with 5 small barley loaves and 2 small fish, but how far will they go among so many?' Jesus said, 'Have the people sit down.' There was plenty of grass in that place, and they sat down. About 5,000 men were there. Jesus then took the loaves, gave thanks, and distributed to those who were seated as much as they wanted. He did the same with the fish. When they had all had enough to eat, he said to his disciples, 'Gather the pieces that are left over. Let nothing be wasted.' So they gathered them and filled 12 baskets with the pieces of the 5 barley loaves left over by those who had eaten."
Mark chapter 12, verse 41 through 44 reads, Jesus sat down opposite the place where the offerings were put in and watched the crowd put their money into the temple treasury. Many rich people threw in large amounts, but a widow came and put in 2 very small copper coins worth only a few cents. Calling his disciples to him, Jesus said, "Truly I tell you, this poor widow has put more into the treasury than all of the others. They have all given out of their wealth, but she, out of her poverty, put in everything, all she had to live on."
So what is Extenders of Grace? It's a couple of kids that get together once a month to give our 2 pennies, our small lunch of fish and loaves to God to use and multiply.
Matthew 5:13 through 16 reads, "You are the salt of the earth. But if the salt loses its saltiness, how can it be made salty again? It's no longer good for anything, except to be thrown out and trampled underfoot. You are the light of the world, a town built on a hill that cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on a stand, and it gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven."
Even though it might seem that we are only doing small things, God takes these small things and multiplies them like the bread and the fish. Matthew 25:35 through 40 reads, "For I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me in. I needed clothes, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you looked after me. I was in prison, and you came to visit me." Then the righteous will answer him, "Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you something to drink? When did we see you a stranger and invite you in, or needing clothes and clothe you? When did we see you sick or in prison and go visit you?" The king will reply, "Truly I tell you, whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me."
My favorite thing about EOG is that whenever we go to the children's home, we have to play basketball with all the kids.
My favorite thing about EOG is writing letters to a child we sponsor every month.
It is important to serve the community because in the Bible, Jesus says, "Anything you do to my brothers and sisters, you do to me."
Another thing I like about EOG is being able to plan volunteer opportunities for people.
Being a part of EOG has impacted me in a big way. It's allowed me to be a leader in something that I think really matters, and it also gives me the opportunity to give others the opportunity to serve.
I enjoy being able to help give others the opportunity to serve so that they can experience what it's like to be the hands and feet of Jesus right here in our own community.